The movie begins with a visual of an empty town, its homes and streets completely abandoned. In one of the stores, a young boy runs across the hall while his older sister, Reagan, looks around the place in search of things to take back home. In the other part of the store, the children's mother, Evelyn, is tending to her other son, Marcus, who seems to be suffering from the cold. The group communicates with each other through sign language, careful not to make any sound for fear of the danger that's lurking everywhere. While looking around, the young boy sees a toy that he attempts to take but accidentally drops, closely saved by Reagan, who manages to catch it just in time. A few minutes later, the young boy rejoins the rest of the family. They're shocked to see that the boy is carrying the toy. Being very careful, the boy's father, Lee, gets up and slowly takes the toy away from the boy, taking out the batteries to be extra safe and leaving it on the counter. Lee tries to tell his young son that the toy isn't safe, and the family heads out of the store. Feeling sorry for her brother, Reagan hands him the toy, unaware that he picked up the batteries on his way out. When heading back home, the family is seen walking barefoot so that they can minimize the amount of noise that they make. Just as they arrive at the bridge, the family suddenly stops in shock when they hear the youngest child turn on the toy ship. Hoping to get to his son before the sound-sensitive monsters in the woods, Lee begins to run toward the young boy, but he's too late. The large creature rushes toward the child, killing him instantly. 472 days after the strange creatures had infested the world, Lee and his family continued to live in their farmland, studying the creature's behavior so that they could protect themselves better. Devastated by the loss of his child, Lee dedicates all of his time to learning about the vicious creatures. As the family goes about their usual routines, Evelyn sets up a crib for the baby that is just about to be born. Although the family is trying to move on, they're unable to let go of their loss, and a clear sadness is seen in every member of the house. One night, Evelyn asks Reagan, who still feels a deep sense of guilt about her brother's death, to call her father to the dinner table. Gathering around together, the family says their prayers and has their dinner. After having their meal, Marcus and Reagan begin a game of Monopoly when they accidentally knock down a lamp, causing the sound to reverberate across the white room. Panicking, Lee jumps into action, dosing the fire with a blanket and instructing his family to remain quiet. Frightened, the group remains silent until Lee looks around and makes sure that the coast is clear. Later that night, Evelyn finds her husband in the basement working on a hearing aid for his deaf daughter, Reagan. Hugging him from behind, Evelyn pulls Lee up to his feet, and the two put on headphones so that they can hear music and slowly dance. Although they've been doing their best to keep everyone alive, the husband and wife are worried about their children's safety. The following morning, Lee tends to housework around the farm, while Evelyn checks her blood pressure, making sure that her baby's alright. Exploring around the property, Reagan decides to go into the main house and into the basement, but Lee stops her before she can make any sound on the wooden floors. Taking her outside, he warns her against taking risks like that because of her disability. Then, he hands her a hearing aid that he'd been able to fix. When he attempts to put it on for her, Reagan refuses, assuring her father that he doesn't want the equipment. Saddened by the rejection, Lee simply hands the equipment to Reagan and walks away. Returning to the house, Lee calls out to Marcus to follow him out to the river so that they can catch some fish. Marcus is reluctant about the trip, fearful that they will encounter more of the monsters. Calming him down, Evelyn assures Marcus that his father will be able to protect him, reassuring him despite his reluctance. When she sees her brother's fear, Reagan offers to go in Marcus's stead, but Lee refuses to bring her along. Angry at her father, Reagan storms off and heads back into the house, tears swelling up in her eyes. When she's finally alone, Reagan changes her mind and tries on the hearing aid that her father gave her, but she's still unable to hear anything. Saddened by her condition, Reagan begins to grab some of the things and equipment that she might need, packing them into her backpack. Meanwhile, Lee and Marcus make it to the river, and Lee attempts to calm his son down by assuring him that the constant flow of water is making the sounds that they're making. Seeing the constant fear in Marcus's eyes, Lee decides to take him to a waterfall nearby and screams at the top of his lungs, showing his son that it's feeling reassured by his father. Marcus yells out like he's never been able to do before. As they sit by the waterfall, Marcus asks his father why he hadn't allowed Reagan to come along with them, questioning if Lee blames Reagan for his younger brother's death. Lee assures Marcus that he will never blame Reagan for his son's death, assuring him that he would always love her. Although he understands his father's anguish, he advises Lee to tell Reagan that he forgives her. After spending a wonderful day fishing and talking, Lee and Marcus begin their journey back to their house, when they come across a house in the middle of the woods. Although they attempt to keep going, Lee stops in his tracks when he sees an old man standing next to his wife's corpse, his face showing that he's given up on life. Lee attempts to signal to the man to remain quiet, but the old man refuses, yelling at the top of his lungs. Wasting no time, Lee picks up his son and dashes across the forest, finding a safe place to hide out while still being able to keep an eye on the old man. Holding his son's mouth so he doesn't scream, Lee watches as the old man is cut down by the giant creature who appears out of nowhere. Meanwhile, back at the house, Evelyn is standing in front of the bathroom mirror when she feels her water break. Evelyn quickly heads to the basement to turn on the emergency light and accidentally steps on a nail, causing her to trip and break a glass frame. Forcing herself to stay quiet, Evelyn slowly removes the nail from her leg and turned on the red lights, quickly realizing that one of the creatures had walked into the house. Struggling with the pain of labor, Evelyn forces herself to remain quiet, hiding so that the monster doesn't see her. As the creature walks around the house, searching for movement, Evelyn sneakily waits for the egg timer that she had set up to distract the monster to go off, and then quickly heads out of the room. Just as she's about to leave the house, Evelyn sees another monster heading toward the house, and quickly heads up the stairs to the bathroom. Climbing into the bathtub, Evelyn attempts to remain still as she hears the monster climbing up the stairs. Meanwhile, Lee and Marcus arrive at the house, shocked to see the warning red lights. Immediately realizing that his family's in danger, Lee instructs his son to light up the fireworks that they prepared inside the field for emergencies, while he heads inside the house to find his wife. Just as Marcus manages to light up the fireworks, Evelyn is unable to control her screams anymore, but they're drowned out by the loud sound the explosions make outside. Inside the house, Lee grabs his shotgun and follows the bloody footsteps up the stairs. When he walks into the bathroom, Lee notices the bathtub full of blood and assumes that the monsters have gotten his wife. Just as he begins to break down, he notices Evelyn's bloody handprint in the shower and breathes in relief as he sees her holding her new child. Grabbing his wife and the new baby, Lee carries them to a hideout under the barn, but their location is given away by the crying child. To mask the child's loud cries, Lee hides him in a small back room with an oxygen mask around his face. Meanwhile, Reagan is alerted to the danger back at the house by the bright light of the fireworks. On her way back, Reagan sees a bright light and attempts to investigate, unaware that one of the creatures is standing right behind her. Suddenly, the frequency emitted by the monster begins to affect Reagan's hearing aid, causing the creature to feel pain and flee. Back in the basement, Evelyn and Lee begin to worry about their children, who are still outside. Evelyn expresses the guilt she felt about the death of their son, and begs Lee to protect the ones who are still alive. Promising to find them, Lee slowly makes his way out from the basement and heads out to the field, unaware that one of the monsters had broken a water pipe that began to flood the basement. Out in the field, Reagan manages to find Marcus, who's been hiding amongst the corn, and the two climb the corn silo, lighting a fire that they could use as a signal. Meanwhile, Evelyn wakes up on her bed to the sound of water filling the room from the broken pipes. As soon as she gets up, she's shocked to see that one of the creatures is inside with her, and notices the crib that they'd put their infant in was open. Slowly getting up, she walks over to her baby and gently picks him up from his crib, watching as the creature emerges from the water. Holding her son, Evelyn backed up into the pouring water hoping that it would mask any sound her infant made. Out in the fields, Lee hears a sound coming from the silo as Marcus accidentally falls into the corn. While Lee attempts to pinpoint where the sound was coming from, he notices the creatures running towards the silo and suspects his children are hiding there. Reagan and Marcus are holding their breath inside the silo when they see the giant creature jump in. While they attempt to hide themselves, the frequency emitted by Reagan's hearing aid and the creature begin to clash, making it painful for the monster and forcing it to flee. Once the creature had left, Marcus and Reagan jump out of the silo and find their father waiting for them outside. Feeling grateful that they're alive, Lee embraces his children, but his relief is short-lived as he hears the monsters approaching nearby. Instructing his children to hide inside an abandoned car, Lee grabs an axe, unaware that the creature is right above him. Before he has time to react, the creature swats him away, causing Marcus to scream out for his father. A few seconds later, the monsters begin to attack the car that the children are hiding in. Realizing his children are in grave danger, Lee pulls himself up and begins to scream, using himself as a distraction so that his children can escape. As soon as the monsters hear Lee scream, it jumps into action and launches its attack. Reagan and Marcus make it to the house around dawn, where their mother is waiting for them. Although they're happy to see each other, the family is devastated by losing Lee. Hearing the monster's screams, the group quickly realizes their troubles were not over and quickly head inside the basement. While they hide out in the basement, Evelyn notices one of the creatures slowly making its way down to the stairs and quickly prepares her shotgun. As Reagan and Evelyn back up to a corner, while the monster slowly approaches, Reagan notices the effect that the creature had on the electrical equipment. She makes the connection that the sound her hearing aid makes when it's in close contact with the creatures is its weakness. Realizing what she needed to do, Reagan removes her hearing aid and puts it on the speaker. As soon as the loud frequency hits the creature, its armor begins to falter and it is unable to stand still, revealing its weakness. Wasting no time, Evelyn uses this opportunity to shoot the creature in the face, killing it immediately. As soon as the sound of gunfire reverberates around the farm, Evelyn and Reagan notice many other creatures heading toward them. Realizing that they have the advantage now, Reagan increases the sound of the radio, while Evelyn gets ready with her gun. If you want to see another epic sci-fi movie, make sure you click that video that's on screen now. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next movie recap.